I sit down my first day, they bring out a nice bowl of rice. They know how to cook rice really well. And then they bring out this green gobble something. I didn't know what it was. My trainer's like, oh, this is called potato greens. I'm like, well, it looks gross. It looks gross. And he's like, this is what you do. He got a bowl of potato greens because it comes in 2 separate dishes. He got a scoop of potato greens, put it on top of the rice, mixed it in, and then ate it like that. And I'm like, oh, well, no. But he's like, just try it. I'm like, oh, I'm down for it. I'll try it. Mixed it in, stirred it up, tried it. I didn't like it at all at first. And then I felt blessed because they always brought out the rice in a separate bowl that they brought out the stew. And that's what the food is. It's almost breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you'll have rice. That's what it will be. You'll have rice. Because of that first experience, I was a little bit hesitant to continue on with it. So anytime they brought out the rice, my trainer would want to pour the stew on top. I'm like, no, please don't, please don't. And then he's like, fine. So he cuts the bowl of rice in half, and he says, this half is yours, this half is his. I would eat plain white rice, and he would put the stew on top of his and eat his. And then after I got done training, I went out with a couple other elders, and they brought out a bowl of the same potato greens again. And I'm like, man, I just need to get used to this. And this was after eating just plain rice for 3 months almost. And then I took a bite of the potato greens, and then it's like, oh my gosh, this is the most amazing thing in the world. And it was, I don't know what made the change, but it was just like an immediate change that I went from just despising it to absolutely loving it. And the thing that they love more than anything else is pepper. They love pepper so much. They say pepe. And you go to the market, you can say $5 pepe, which is maybe just like the palm of my hand. Or you can have like $10 pepe, which is just a little bit more, and then you can get more and more pepe by or not 10, because their currency is Liberian dollars. They use U.S. currency, and they use their own currency, which is Liberian dollars. When I left, it was 90 to 1. So $1 US was worth 90 Liberian dollars. And then they only have it up, the lowest currency is 5 LD, 5 Liberian dollars. So you go to the market and you buy your food. The pepper just makes you sick. It makes you so sick. It makes you have stomach issues like crazy. So there's nothing you can do to get around that. The stomach issues will be there for the first little while. But then you get used to the pepper, and then by the end of your mission, if something doesn't have pepper in it, then you feel like something's missing. So they love pepper. There's even a stew called pepe soup, which they cooked it a little different than normal. What they did is they just ground the pepper and then put it in a little bit of oil, and then fried it, and then just put it on top of a stew. And me and his name is Elder Polson, we were crying because of how much pepper it was. The woman had I think it was like this much pepper in there, and then she ground it all up, threw it in the fryer, and then put it on top of this rice. And then me and other Polson were crying. We're like, but we're gonna finish it. We're gonna do this. So we finished it, and we were both by the end, our eyes were just bloodshot, completely bloodshot by how hot the food was. And since I've been home, I've just been dying for pepper, though. There's nothing here that I can find that's as hot as the pepper there. Just because I love pepper now. I didn't like it before, but I love it now. But the food there, it's I think it's amazing now. But it's a lot of pepper. Rice is what you'll be having. At first, you're going to be probably a little sick of it at first. But then you'll get to that point where you're really sick of it. And then you'll get to the point where you're like, man, I need rice 100%. So, and then they have their other things, which they have like fufu. That one you don't get quite as much. They have GB, which is cassava that they just pound up in a little pounder. And then they fry the cassava first, or the yam. And then they pound it up, and then it comes in like a ball. The best way to describe it's like a bread dough almost. Then you eat it with your fingers. You dip it in a stew, and then you eat it with your fingers, and you swallow it. You don't chew it; you just swallow it. They have pop. They have soda there, but you just say I want to get a soda, or not soda. You say I want to get soft drink, Or if you say soft drink, they say what? I say sache. And then I liked Fanta. I had Fanta like every day almost. But yeah, I'm not recalling any cake or cookies. I remember that during one ward activity, when they say something here, or a branch activity, when they say to a ward activity here, when they say we're going to bring out some refreshments, what does it normally mean? What does it normally mean when they say we're going to bring out some refreshments? You're thinking like cookies or ice cream or something like that. Well, me and this other Elder Polson, again, we were sitting there, our first branch activity, like, we're going to bring out some refreshments. We're like, yes, this is the best thing in the world. We're excited. And then they bring out just this giant bowl of I think it was cassava leaves. They bring out this giant bowl of cassava leaves and rice. And we're like, well, same as normal. Let's dig in. So that's their refreshments, is just more rice. Right now, the biggest health thing is the Ebola crisis. But social issues, right now, like a lot of times they believe the government is a lot of West African countries. They believe that the government is very corrupt, because people that have government jobs, they're living wealthy, they have all of this, and then someone who has a job where they have their market, they're living in poverty. But to be honest, the majority of the country is in poverty. But again, one thing that I love so much about Liberia is that even though they are living in poverty, and they kind of they know it, but they don't necessarily always act like it. Because I know there's a quote that I always heard. It's like, we lived with what we have because we don't know what we. I'm sorry, I don't mean to mess up that quote. It's, we live with what we have because we don't know what we don't have. If I'm sorry, I'm probably murdering that quote, and I feel really bad about it. It holds true to what they say, is because they have all of these things, and then these little things that they get, they're very appreciative for them. The little things that they have, they're appreciative that they got it, and they really appreciate all the small things that they get. So a lot of the country, it is in poverty, and it is very, 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 very poor, but yet they have their bag of rice and they're happy. They have, they can go to a video club, which is just it's like a projector. They just have like a little projector that maybe they play a football game or soccer game on, and they absolutely love it. They love entertainment. They love being entertained. I think that's why they kind of liked me a lot, because I was very outgoing and fun when it came to them. I like to laugh. I like to have fun. So they like people who are outgoing. They like people who are gonna be outgoing, to make them laugh, to make them just kind of have fun. Don't be shy. The UN is in the country because recently they got off of a civil war. So the United Nations, they're there. So they're kind of keeping stuff under wraps a little bit more. Like guns, they're not allowed to have guns in the country. The only people that you'll see with a gun are people that are guarding Ma Palace, the President Ma Ellen Sirleaf Johnson. And those are going to be the only people you see with guns, UN officers and everything like that. But the police, they're not allowed to have guns, anything like that. So that comes with a little bit of tension. So a lot of times, sometimes at night, like I had one area where at night we were just sleeping, and then we woke up to gunshots, and people were getting robbed around us. But we had a big fence above us, so we were safe there. And crime, it's definitely an issue there. Crime is definitely an issue, because it's just some people have the notion that if what I don't have, I'm going to steal it to get what I want. Not everyone, obviously, because I feel safe. I feel completely safe walking there and walking in the daytime, but that's why we're supposed to be indoors at night, because it's not as safe. Even we had one apartment that was the wall was, I want to say it's like about 6.5 feet or 7 feet tall, and then on top of the wall we had 2 layers of razor wire. And in this apartment that we were in, we had we always kept our water jugs out. We always kept our water containers outside, So when it would rain, the rain would fill up those containers, because there was no, all the apartments that I was in, except maybe like one or two, they didn't have electricity. They didn't have running water. You have to go to the well and draw your water. You have to get water by a water truck coming in and filling up a poly tank. So we had those water jugs that we always drew water and put our water inside of. But one night, I don't know how, they ended up getting over this wall and underneath the razor wire, and they stole a couple of the buckets. They stole my rain boots. They stole my sandals. And they just stole kind of a lot of other things just around the outside. The houses were locked, so we were safe inside. But then we're like, oh, well, okay. Well, long as that's over, we're fine now. Then the next night they come back again. And then we're like, really? They just stole a couple of, like, more jugs and everything like that. And then the next night we were prepared, but nothing happened. The next night we're like, okay, we're fine. And then they came again. And then they came, and then when I left, they added 2 more layers of brick on there, and then new razor wire on top of that. So since then, they haven't gotten broken into again, so it works now. But yeah, I got my rain boots stolen like 4 times. Yeah. They weren't always happy about that, calling them. They're like, what happened to your rain boots? Got stolen again. Why? Left them outside. Didn't we tell you not to do that? Yes. So it's just you need to be smart. Like, I don't want anyone to go there being scared. There's no reason to be, because everyone that I talk to, I love them to death. Sometimes it can be different because it's a completely different culture. That's going to be something you need to adjust to, is the culture and the different kind of the way that they look at things, the attitude that they kind of have towards things. Where something that isn't something big here, like if I say, hey, you're crazy, something here, it's not a big thing like that. But sometimes it depends on the person. If I say, oh man, you're crazy, they're like, oh, you just said that to me, and they're kind of insulted by it. And so some things that don't seem to be big things here, sometimes they take it more serious there. Don't be sarcastic like I am. They don't get sarcasm. But it's just the culture. It's different because they look at things differently. There's no way to kind of pinpoint it, but they're sometimes more aggressive when it comes to kind of social things. When you just go talk to someone, their kind of thing is, I'm going to go yell at the person. Not because I'm super mad, but that's just kind of how I'm going to get it across, is I'm going to yell. I'm not going to talk, I'm going to yell. And that's just what it's like. That's just how that's their way of being social, is they're really loud. So when you first get there, you're not going to be able to understand a word they're saying. It's just how it's going to be. The greatest way to learn it, though, is just going to be the listening and trying, and not trying too hard. How almost, I think every single, I haven't, maybe like one missionary that I've ever met that just picked it up super quickly. But most missionaries, what they're going to do is they're going to get there. They're not going to understand a word, and then they're going to try to speak it. They're going to have this super funny accent that the other missionaries will make fun of you for it, because that's just how it goes. Not to make you worried. It's just how it goes. You get a funny accent because you're trying really, really hard to speak this colloqua, and what happens is it's more just going to come naturally. You're going to learn certain things. The best thing to do is learn the words that they understand, and learn the words that they don't understand. Like, I'm trying to think of them now. My colloqua, it was good on the spot, but tell me to have a conversation with someone just outside of it, I was never very good at it. They don't say a lot. They'll say plenty. They don't say a little bit. They'll say small. A lot of times they'll start something, if they're talking about themselves, they'll say me. They'll say me, like, oh, me, I want to go here. And they just kind of cut words short is the best way to describe it. It's just going to come by listening is the biggest thing. Oh, missionary work and listening. You're going to learn a lot about that. Is just listening to how they put words together. Ask them how to say it, and just talk to them a lot. Don't be shy. You have to talk to them. If you want to learn how to do it, you have to talk to them as much as you can. You can ask whoever your trainer is if he's good at it. You can ask him a little bit to help you, but the best way to do it is just to listen to them. One phrase you'll be saying a lot is "Come leyo," "Come let's eat." That's one you're going to be saying a lot. But the colloquial, it's going to be a fun thing to learn. It's going to be fun when you're speaking in a way that nobody understands, but you understand what you're saying. So, a typical greeting. Like how you're going to go up to someone when you're talking to someone, it's going to be the main thing I just said a lot of words there. You can just edit that one out. When you go up to someone, you're going to say, my man, how you feeling? How you said it is, how are you feeling? They say, oh, after everything. They say, oh, after everything. Like, come like you, my man, where you going? Oh, where are you going? Oh, my man, how you feeling? Oh. Where are you going? How are you feeling? Say, oh, after everything, you'll be right on. But that's mainly when you're talking to someone, like greeting someone. My man, how you feeling? Oh, you feeling all right? Your day is super. Es sweeto. Just kind of things like that. That's how you're going to mainly greet people. You just go up and say, how your body? How your body? You feeling all right? Yeah, all right. I recall more in Ghana, they had more of the kind of etiquette-wise do and don'ts, like in a little bit in Liberia, but like the left hand thing, like if you're left-handed, I'm sorry, but if you they don't like you using your left hand as much for various reasons, but they don't like you if you like gonna shake with you obviously don't shake with your left hand. It's an insult if you're gonna hand something with your left hand, if you're gonna take something with your left hand. That one's really, really big in Ghana. In Liberia, a little bit, like certain people will be offended by it, but that's one of the things that I loved about Liberia, though, was that they had their culture, but they love just kind of people from the outside, is the best way to put it. They love people that are there that maybe aren't familiar with their culture, because if there is one thing that you do need to make sure you do is you always invite someone to eat with you. Even if almost 100% of the time they won't, but like any time that I was eating, because a lot of time you eat outside. When I was eating outside, me and my companion, people are walking by and they'll say, "What? You didn't call me to eat with you. Why didn't you call me to eat with you?" And it's like, I don't know. But that's one thing they will always say if you're walking by and they're eating, they're eating outside, because you spend most of your time outside teaching everything. If they're eating, they'll say, "Come leyo," "Come let's eat," "Come leyo." So when you're eating, you and someone passes or someone walks by you, you just say, "Come leyo," and they'll say, "Oh, thank you," and then they'll just continue on their way. It's just kind of a show of respect. They have Islam. Islam it depends on where you're at. Like there's some places like what is it called? New Georgia. There's a place like that that's heavily populated with Muslims. There's a lot of them there. And then other places there's one or two, and then some places it'll be all Christian and everything like that. But Muslim there's a lot of them there, and then Christian, it's a good mix. And there's, from what I recall, there wasn't any necessarily rules. Like they have them in some other missions, how you have to get special permission to be able to teach them. Because, like we said, everyone wants to learn about what religion has to offer, because they believe religion blessed their life so much. If they're Muslim, they want to hear about Christianity, because it's not just because they want to join, but they're interested in learning. And wherever it goes from there. So be careful with that one, though. But one thing that I love is that they have, even though their view on family is a little different, like maybe the family is different than it is here. Like we believe like the the mother, the father, the children, everything like that, to be really close and everything like that as a family. They have an idea of it. It may be different. It's not as close as it is in some places, where the husband is there for the wife, they're equal, and they have to take care of the children equally. Maybe that's not the same. Like, there's certain families that get it, and it's great, and teaching people these values is one of the greatest satisfactions about being there. Was teaching recent convert families about how to be stronger as a family is some of the greatest satisfaction. But when it comes to the family, one thing that I like is that they kind of believe everyone in their community to be their family. And everyone looks after another one. They have a saying that it takes a village to raise a child. And this parent will look after this parent even though they don't know who it is. If a child is crying in church, some other random parent will go and just grab the child and just hold it, because they care about each other like one big family. But when it comes to the individual families, like saying the husband and the wife is equal, sometimes it's not quite that way. And it's a lot of the time it's male dominated. When it comes to the family, that the husband has the last say in everything, and the wife doesn't have a lot of say in anything. But then, like I said, when you teach them the values of family and how the family unit is supposed to be, it's amazing. And then when it comes to kind of the holidays, Liberians, they like to party. they like holidays. They love holidays. Their Independence Day, which is July 26th, that is a big holiday for them. That's not necessarily in the good ways, but it's a good time to be able to teach just a lot of the commandments, because it shows how serious they are in the gospel. Because I've taught people who maybe they didn't have serious problems with drinking, but whenever it came to a party, it's like, I'm going to drink because that's what everyone else does. And people just problems with chastity is a big issue there. But when it comes to those things, when you teach them, and then it comes to a big holiday or a big party, and then they don't fall into that temptation for those big holidays and big parties, because that's the thing, is if it's a holiday or a party, that comes with drinking, and that comes with breaking other commandments. And then when you teach them and they're able to forego those things because of what you taught them, it's so great. Because many of them, they may have an idea of the laws that are set in place, but maybe they don't understand it as well. And then maybe they understand, like they have an idea about what the law of chastity is, but then when you tell them the law and you explain to them the law and the blessings of that law, because God, again, is such a big influence in their life, they're going to apply it, and they're going to want to do it. So even though holidays and parties may be a big occasion for them, once they know what God expects of them, they really want to change. But in Liberia, they have so many different faiths. I mean, I went on my mission thinking that, because just like the different type of religions they have here, they maybe don't have too many, but I went on my mission thinking that there's maybe like 10 churches, maybe. But then I realized that, yeah, maybe there's 10 churches, but then in the Pentecostal church they have a billion different branches, all with different names taken from some random portion of the Bible. And then the Presbyterian have another bunch of different kind of branches, or different kind of churches with different pastors teaching different things, and not just those certain churches, but just in Liberia, there's so many churches. In one of my areas, Logantown, you go down the street, there's a church here. You go down maybe 100 yards more, there's a church there. You go down another 100 yards, there's a church there. There's a pastor living in every other house. But their churches, they're all over the place. And even though that for the Christian community anyway, even though they all believe in Jesus Christ and believe in God, there are going to be so many different ways that they understand Him. Like you get maybe like when it comes to the Godhead, maybe you get here that they have that we believe that in the Trinity or something like that, and then we believe in the Godhead. Maybe there's the only two separations, but then you're going to get some crazy doctrine where the Godhead is compared to a snake or something like that, where it's taken somewhere out of the Bible, but they have so many different churches, and with that comes so many different beliefs in just a simple principle. They're going to have such different understandings for just a simple principle, and even when it comes to like the baptism, they're going to have a million different ways you baptize someone. That's just how it goes when it comes to the culture, and when it comes to especially Christianity. There, so many different churches, so many. Well, for my family in Liberia, I love you all so much, and I wish I was there with you, and I want to say that the way that all of you stepped it up when the missionaries were evacuated, it touches my heart every single day. And I think it is absolutely amazing that you all did that. That even though the missionaries were gone, it didn't seem like they were gone because you were all there. And you are the greatest people that I had ever been around. If I could come be there with you again, I would do it in a second, because I love you all so much, and you made me who I am today, and I am very, very, very proud of that. I'm very proud of all of you, and keep being who you are. I love you all so much. I miss you all.